Okay, so this particular same story, I am going to cater it to the housing cooperative, community housing organisation I work with on occasion. Their biggest thing is convincing the public that what they're doing is wonderful, and of course it is. They're providing housing for homeless. So let's see how the story can work. So I was fortunate enough a couple of years ago for my birthday to go and live for 2 weeks in this 13th century house, which called itself a chateau, a mansion. It was essentially the house that was owned by the head of a mining company, so it was pretty cool in the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th and now 21st century. So parts of the building were built in the 13th century. The place was an opportunity for us to build community, for us to have dinners, for us to hang around and do silly things, go on beautiful walks. And essentially it was a time for us to build community and build a sense of belonging. It was my birthday as well. We even had sing-alongs by the fire at night. So one of the days, my friend Barry comes down from the tower, which is this tower, here we go. From the tower, he comes trotting down from the tower going, "Oh my God, there's a fire!" And there were literally planes dropping water. You can see on the left-hand bottom corner there's some smoke. And Barry started to say, "We might have to evacuate." I kind of started to kind of go, "Oh my God!" We're at the end of a very long road, at the top of a mountain, in the middle of a forest. We were quite isolated. A 20-minute walk would take us to the next village, but not if the fire got into that valley. And if the fire got into the valley and cut off the road, we would have been unable to go anywhere. We had a 17-metre swimming pool, but that wasn't necessarily going to help us in the fire. Because nobody could remember, can you get into a swimming pool? Will it stop it? Will the fire get over the top? What's going to happen? So we're going a little bit crazy and wishing for some of those more quiet times. And Barry kept coming down. I went to the neighbour, and the neighbour actually said, "Oh, I've just driven down to the fire." She'd been living there for 8 years. She was Swedish. This is in the middle of France. "I've just driven down to the fire," she said. "It looks like it's going to be fine." And my brain went, "What? You put yourself in jeopardy to go down to the fire? Are you crazy?" But no, it turns out that in France it's kind of like a spectator sport to actually go look at the fire. So, why am I telling you this story? Because we're incredibly fortunate in Australia that we understand, while we have fires that are life-threatening, we actually understand danger, we understand misfortune. And when people do have house fires and their houses are burned down, we're always very helpful, and there's plenty of stuff in place for that kind of emergency. But sometimes people are out of the house not because of an emergency, but because of circumstances beyond their control, mental health issues, finance issues, long-term poor decision making, gambling problems, drinking problems, all of those kinds of things. And some of these problems are bigger than they are. The fire in this case was bigger than me, but at least I was in a pretty damn fine environment. But what if I wasn't? What if I were actually here in Australia and for whatever reason had been unhoused and dehoused? That's what we do at the community housing. We help people get back to a point where they can actually be with friends, where they can actually have company, where they can celebrate, where they can actually feel safe again. So this story is all about making sure that you understand how privileged we are and how it can make a difference. So that's the second story. You may or may not like the way I've linked it, it's up to you, but you can see that there's a link there. And if I had a little bit more time to prepare, I would probably come up with an even better way. But every story can be used to illustrate pretty much every point. Have a look at the next story.